Okay. I believe we are live. I believe everything's going good. How's everyone doing? I think what I'm going to do from now on is I am going to stream for about an hour. Um, Go over the levels, go over news coming up um, for the day only. Go over some trade locations that I might look at going into today, and uh, answer any questions people might have about today's trading and what kind of opinion they want. If there's a specific product or ticker you want me to look at, I can do that as well. I'm going to try to stick to mostly futures, though I don't really day trade any other product at the moment. I swing trade some options, but that's separate. Mostly sticking to futures. I'm currently just trying to basically see if I can manage my stream from my phone. Okay. Okay, so first, let's talk about news for the day. Okay, so talking about the news of the day. 4 a.m. we do have some stuff coming out of Germany. It shouldn't be really market moving. Then this morning we have Dallas Fed Manufacturing Index, which is, shouldn't really move the market either. Shouldn't be that market moving. So pretty much today, not really any news. You might have some Fed speakers like that come out and speak unscheduled, but you can always get a tweet from Trump at any time. So I'd be mindful of that. Okay, so don't have any news to really worry about. So let's get in to the trading and levels. Okay, so if you saw my Sunday opening video, we talked briefly about some levels and what we were looking for in the Nasdaq and the ES, and we were leaning bullish coming into this week, right? So last week on the daily, both the ES and the NQ broke out and closed above the previous all-time highs. So that is technically bullish. Then on top of that, you also had news come out on Saturday and Sunday about the US and the China deal. At least tentatively, looks like they got a deal going. So that is of course very bullish for the market, because the only reason why for this sell-off here, even though that we were overextended and they were looking for a reason to sell, the Trump tariff 100% on China just made it sell off quicker, right? So they were looking for a pullback. They were looking for a reason to sell. They got one. They sold it up pretty quickly, and then they bought it right back up, right? So now we're all at the all-time highs again, right? Now we have an opening gap. Okay, so they say the Asian session opened up at 700. Okay, so we have this gap here. Now you can measure from the wick. I like to measure from the body. So if you're a wick player, then that's fine. If you're do the body, I mean that's fine. To each their own. So we have this gap. Let's see there. So we have this gap on daily and from the overnight, from Friday until now. So the question is, do we come back and fill this gap? That's the question, right? So do we come back into this 500 area, the 570 area? Do we come back into this area here and then fill this gap and then go? Or do we come down, test the overnight lows, which the opening, the first, pretty much first candle at 7 a.m. Well, I guess 7 p.m. in U.S. time, or 5 p.m. U.S. time Central, 7 a.m. my time in Japan. Do come down and test the 700s and then bounce, right? So I think I wouldn't be looking for buys right now. Okay. We're opening up with a gap, and the same time we're a little bit overextended. We have a gap that needs to be at least tested somewhat for me to feel comfortable taking a long. Like even if we come down here to 700s and you try to take a long off 700s, that's better than taking a long at 800s, right? I mean, you take a long here, it moves down 100 points, balances, moves back up 100 points. You get nowhere. Oh, so I wouldn't buy right here right now, right? Or do you look for this gap to fill a little bit, maybe down to 560s to 500s, and that is a better buy in my opinion for a move back up 700s or 800s or whatnot. So looking right here, I mean, you can, so with that in mind, if I wouldn't buy right here, the question is, would I short it right here? So the problem with shorts, because you have $97. The opening high was 97. That's crazy. Okay, so the opening candle high. Let's look at the actual S&P. That's the micro. So micros can be a little bit distorted. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. The actual high is 90s. That makes more sense. I'm gonna go ahead and mark that. I'm gonna mark that on the micros, just because that micro high there is a little distorted, not accurate. Okay, so 90s was your opening candle high when we opened up for from the weekend. We also have a gap here. Now the gap in yes is a little bit more substantial. I know they both have a gap, but I mean, we closed at 25s on Friday. We opened up at 70s. Now this 68-70s area, the reason why I have a line here was that was one of the Fibonacci Fibonacci extensions that I had laid out from the previous week. And we already cleared that. And it acted as support once we cleared it. Once we got above it, it acted as support. So once again, same thing as NASDAQ. I wouldn't buy right here. I mean, you can argue taking a short right here, but I mean, it'd be risky. Trading's risky. This stream is for entertainment purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't pretend to be. I don't know everything. I'm still learning. Still in my trading journey, so don't take my word as gospel. Don't take like well, he said to do it, so I do it. You gotta form your own opinions. You gotta form your own thoughts. Take what other people say and think about it, but don't take it as 100% concrete. I mean, everyone, including myself, is wrong from time to time. We're right sometimes, we're wrong sometimes. So don't follow one of my trades and then lose money and say like, well, he made me lose money. Don't do that. Form your own opinion. Form your own plan for the day. Okay. So we can't argue taking a short, and then if it makes new highs, which is above 90s, right? That is valid enough because right now we have a 15-minute wick. We might get a second 15-minute wick right here. That'll be 2 wicks, 30-minute. I have a couple wicks up here. Now this doesn't mean that it's going to reverse from here. It's a possibility, but it doesn't mean it will. I mean, you could take, like if you wanted to if you believed that we're going to get a retest of 70s, or we're going to get a retest of even maybe 40s from last week, that's also possible. That's a better, this right here, 40s, is a better long. 68.40s is a better long than longing up here at 68.90s. We already rallied. We're close to, oh, hit the back button on my mouse. We've already rallied up to 90, right? So you gotta be careful. Gotta be careful. Because if you take a short here, you gotta be out if it gets new highs above like 90. You can risk the ATR, which ATR right now on a 30 it's 6, right? I think I'm gonna do it.
Order filled.
I'm going to take a 1 micro S&P short from 80s 5s. The 15-minute ATR is currently sitting at 350. I'll give it an extra 4 points above the previous high because, like we said earlier, the ES high is 90s. It's not 97s, right? So a little 1 micro. At the moment, we're risking 45 bucks. So $45 of risk. We're going to target, I want to target the 70s. Okay, target these 70s. If we come back up here to 88s, 90s, I might short two. Okay, but we've had two wicks. This one left a wick plus a bearish body close on the 15-minute. Now this could just shoot right back up and go up to 6900s and then knock me out. Hey, if it does that, I'll be down 45 bucks. Okay, I'm not really sweating it. But if we get a rejection here and we come back down and test the 70s, then I'm up $65 on one micro. It's very, very low risk. Like, I wouldn't put on a lot of contracts right here, but I mean, just throwing out a random trade and see what happens. It's always no harm, no foul, because it's all probability. What's the probability of it pulling back to these 70s before going up to touch 94s? I just want to test that probability out. So that's what I'm doing. Um, okay, so I think outside of this like attempt, like I'm doing it once. Like if it fails, I'm not doing it again. But I think for now, I want to call this a short-term high for at least a retrace back into some sort of 70 area. I'm targeting 72s. That is just me. I think if we get down to 72s to 70s, 67s, I think we're going to bounce, at least get a reaction there, because I mean, it's the overnight low, technically, at the moment. So that's what I'm looking for there. Then, past that, I'm waiting for a test of 41s and see if we get a bounce there with a 5-minute rejection green candle off showing support. If not, then 6812s is the next area I would look at for a possible bounce location from the previous all-time high on the ES. That is the ES setup currently. What I'm looking for. Let's look at NASDAQ. Okay. So same thing with the ES trade I'm going right now. We've looked actually on the NASDAQ. We've looked above that high candle. Now, well, how about on the actual NASDAQ? Because micros, like I said earlier, are a hit or miss, right? Okay. On both of them shows a push above. Okay, so the high candle right here, both minis and micros have pushed above. Okay, so we've had a little bit of push above on the Nasdaq. We're starting to get a little bit of rejection here in the Nasdaq, so hopefully that continues to follow through. Maybe we get a retracement back down here to the 700s, and that helps out my trade on the ES back down to the 72s that I'm looking for. Currently, that's the only thing I see. I wouldn't buy it up here. And if you're shorting like I did, I would take a very small size because this market's very bullish. It is against trend. We are making all-time highs. It's not a smart trade. It's just an attempt for a retracement. I am looking for longs at 700. I'm looking for longs if we get down here to between the 570s and 500 level. And then if we somehow make it back down to the 25 400 level, I'm also looking for longs previous all-time highs. That's what I'm looking for as far as NASDAQ and ES levels go. Okay. I'm not gonna take a Nasdaq short on a one lot just because that's more risky than taking a one lot short on a micro, right? So I'm not going to do that. Okay. Next, let's take a look at crude. Okay. Take a look at crude. All right, so overnight we popped up. We had a gap. I mean, not really. A small gap between, I guess, 48s to 53. That was a very small gap because it had opened up here, it went down, went all the way back up, closed higher, had a rejection here at 62.20s. A push down, a bounce up, another push down below, took us out some stops, pushed up again to 62s. Now we're down lower. Look at the daily. Okay. On the daily, we're coming into previous fixed volume range profile resistance. So this is volume resistance up here. There's shorts up here. And between these 6170s, the 62 level, and then you even have another resistance up here at 63, right? So those are levels to be mindful of. Question is, do we get a retracement back down to the 60 level, right? I mean, we talked about it in our weekly video yesterday. If I want to get long, I want to get long right around the 60s. That's where I want to get long at. Right around the 60s, I'm looking for my first long opportunity. Past the 60s, I'm looking to try and get long here at 59 even, right? That's my next area that I'm looking for if I want to get long. If I want to get short, we're looking at long that 60 to 59 between those two levels. That's where I want to get long from. When I get short, now we bounced almost $6 off the very lows on crude. So we could retrace some of the move because, I mean, it has been kind of in a bearish market on oil. We have been making lower lows for the past week or so each day. So 4 hours shows a small bounce back up to 62s. So I think medium term, short to medium, I think these 56 to 55 level, I think they're going to hold medium term wise. And we might make another range here. This might be just a range between 65s to 55s. This might just be a $10 range going forward. That could possibly be true. I don't see it popping back up, especially with them trying to pump more oil. I don't see it popping back up above 70s or 80s anytime soon. Anything is possible. But if I'm looking to short, I want to probably get short maybe at a run of these highs. I want to see it break above these highs run up to maybe the 63 to 63.25, and then from that level, short it back down to 62 if I want to get short. Shorting right here and now, you're risking $1. All right. If you wait, let's say you wait until 60 to 63.25, you could short it and risk about 50 cents, and then you have a better risk to reward because then you can target back down to these 62s to 61.50s, right? So I think that there's a better trade location. Now there is resistance there, and it could retrace from here. We're getting these wicks on the 4-hour. If this 4-hour close, I have 2 hours left on this 4-hour. If this 4-hour can close below 61.38 here, or close on the lows, then it could indicate that we might try to retrace lower some of this move. Possibility. Just gotta keep an eye on it. So that covers the longs and the short side. All right, so we've looked at crude, we've looked at S&P, we looked at Nasdaq. Got about 30 minutes left in this trade, 30 minutes left in this stream, and then we'll be back for the New York Open at 10 p.m. Japanese Standard Time, 8 a.m. On Central Time. Okay, next, let us look at gold. So gold has been very volatile. I'm sure it has made people a lot of money, and it has completely wrecked some others. Now looking at gold here, we talked, we're looking right here, this is where it was when we talked yesterday on the stream following last week's trading. It closed at 41.25 roughly to end the week, and we had mentioned that it has been showing some buyers in this area, in this consolidation area, right? We've been finding buyers at these 30s, and then we found buyers at these at 56, right? So we've been finding buyers in this area, and so far we've had, this is technically a higher high. This is also technically a higher high. We opened up, and we opened up bearish to start the Asian session. Okay, so it sold down from 41.20s all the way down 73s, bounced back up, 41.10s, rejected, made a lower low on the daily trading range, and that's 40.66. Then it bounced back up to 40.98. Then it's rejecting it again, back down. I think looking at this session right now, if I was going to be a seller, if I think I'm coming in this week very bearish on gold, there is two trades I would look for, two locations. Okay. So we have this area down here. This is support. So there's two areas that I would look for, two types of trades I would look for that would be higher probability. One would be we have a push up to 46 to 50 area. These 70s, 60s, push up into this area, right? Yeah, push up into this area. You push up into this area, I would look for a short to retrace some of it. That is one short opportunity. Next short opportunity. I would look for it to break all the way down, break through the previous week's lows, right? Retrace back up into previous week's lows. Have a 5-minute rejection off of previous week's lows. If we get a 5-minute rejection, red candle close, showing bearish momentum, then be short from previous week lows right here after it breaks through. And then either you can use structure in the price action for your stop loss, or just a straight ATR on the 5 to 15 minute, depending on how much risk you want to put on. That's what I would look for if I was going to be trying to trade gold. I wouldn't short here and now. Buys also don't look great. If I was looking for buys, I would want to see it come down to these 20 area, 25, and have a 5-minute rejection green bar to maybe look long. Now that you could look for, but these are shorts. Pushes up into this area, has a rejection, look for a short back down to the 4106 area. Or if it pushes all the way down, let's say it sells off all the way down, breaks below previous week's lows, pushes back up to the 23 area here, has a 5-minute rejection, shows bearish momentum, we have a breakout with volume, then you can short it down to 39.73s, right? So those are two plays you could do on gold, right? So those are two options. All right, so that's gold. We've already talked about the Nasdaq. We've already talked about the S&Ps. We've already talked about crude. And if you are tuning in, we are currently short 1 micro. Only 1 micro from S&P on the ES. We were short 1 micro. We had two 15-minute wick closes up here with one showing a bearish body close. The 68.90s was the opening candle high on the regular ES. I don't know why, but on the micro it went all the way up to 97s. I think that's a little bit distorted. That's not accurate. 90s we're using as a high because we use ES for the levels. Currently we are short 1 micro, and we're looking for just a retracement down to the overnight lows. I'm putting it at 72. If you want to target the low at 68 or 67, you could. I'm not going to be stubborn for a couple ticks, for a couple extra points. I'm just taking one trade on a C setup, because I mean, this is all-time highs, so you gotta be careful shorting all-time highs. I'm just looking for a retracement. That's all I'm looking for. We get down to these 74s and it's starting to reject or show support there, and then I'll get out. If I don't get the full 13 points, it doesn't bother me. But if we come down here to these 77s or 76s, and I would probably move my stop to break even at that point, because that point, it's 10 points in my favor. And if I let it come all the way back against me and stop me out for a $45 loss, then that's just not good. I can't let it do that. But currently sitting short 1 micro, just saw a possible opportunity. You could even call it a double top on the 15-minute. But we're starting to see some rejection, so I took a short. And if it came back up into the 88s and 90s after this 15-minute close, I was going to get short too. But it's already had to move down. I probably won't get short too if it came back up, because if it comes back up, I think at this point, especially above these 89s or 90s, it's probably just going to keep running. I'm not going to get short two. I'll just stay short one. If it comes down to the 72s, then I'll make 65 bucks, right? Yeah, but we've talked about ES, we've talked about crude, we've talked about gold and NASDAQ. We've looked at levels where I would want to short, levels I would want to buy. I think most of them, gold you have options both ways, buy and short. Crude you have options both ways, buy and short. On the equities, I know I say this as I'm sitting in a short, but there's actually not many areas that I find that would actually be good for a short right now. I think right now, with the market being so bullish, that you just have to look for longs, right? And we're making all-time highs. And it's not saying that it can't sell off 100 points from right this very minute. It could sell off the rest of the day. That's very possible. But I think you just have to be looking for longs sitting here. That's all. Okay, so we'll sit here for another 20 minutes. And we'll let this trade kind of play out on its own. If there happens to be someone that comes up in here and asks me to take a look at something for them, whether it'll be cattle or the Nikkei or another market, we'll take a look briefly. I'll give my opinion. But for right now, we are currently just gonna sit here for the next 20 minutes as we play out the rest of this London Open. And after this 30 minutes, I say 30 minutes, I meant 5:30, 20 minutes. The question is, do I leave the stream going and let this trade play out? Or do I close it and open it back up later tonight when I stream the New York Open? Is the question. Is the question. Chill out and let this trade play out. We've already looked at all of our products for the day and what we're looking for. So now we're just going to chill out. Just going to chill out, let this trade play out, hang around for the next 15 minutes or so. Unless we get someone that comes in here and hangs out for a bit, then we might stay a little bit longer, but for now, just gonna hang out. chilling out for now. Letting this trade play out. We're still around. Okay, got about 5 minutes left in this trade, in this stream. I mean, from me being here, I'm currently contemplating letting this play out on stream without me being here. If you took the trade, you're currently up 6 points. So if you're in a mini, you're up 300 bucks. If you're one micro like I am, you're up $30. Okay. So manage it how you see fit. Now there was some support here very briefly on the 15-minute between 78s and 77s. So there was small support here, and you can take it off. Say, hey, I'm up 7 points on the day. And there's no shame in that. Or you can keep it on, take full TP like I'm going to try and do here. Take 13 points. But good bounce here. Very possible. It showed support here before, earlier. So trade it how you see fit, right? Like on the bottom of that candle, there was almost 8 points. Almost 8 points. 8 points. That would have been $400 on a mini. Right? And for those that are wondering, sitting here, like, well, do I feel FOMO about not putting on more size? Because I put on a trade right here, and I barely took any heat on it. And it came all the way down. Do I regret not putting on more size? I mean, we're talking about hindsight now. Because let's say if I put on a mini and it shoots up and rips up past 90 and just rips my face off, then no, I'd be regretting putting on a mini. But only after the fact that it goes in my way that I regret not putting on more size. So it doesn't bother me. I know that right now I'm practicing trying to do good risk management every day, try to take good trades, try to set good take profit areas, try to target certain areas of liquidity and volume that I'm trying to look for. And this for me right now, this is a good trade. So far we are seeing some support come in here. I still think it has room to go down some more just because I think NASDAQ, if I'm a betting man, I think NASDAQ wants to come down here and touch 750s at least before bouncing. It's like this was resistance, it broke through, showed support. So if NASDAQ comes down to these 53s, I think I want to be out of my trade. And now where that's at for ES, I don't know, because while they move very similarly, they don't move the exact same. Some days one's stronger than the other, and there's more exaggerated moves in NASDAQ because there's more volatility in the NASDAQ. But so far, the micro ES trades up 8 points. So if you were short from our area earlier, you would be up 8 points so far, right? So I mean, first trade of the day, 8 points so far, not looking bad. I think we're gonna get a flush down here to these 50s. I'm pretty sure on the Nasdaq. Now there might be a small bounce from the Nasdaq at the 50s, or I mean it could just flush through, and it's also a possibility. But for right now, that's where I would want to target. If I'm short the Nasdaq, when we took a short on the ES, then I want to target 53s on the Nasdaq. On the ES, like I said, no, that's crude. On the ES, like I said, I would want to target 72s, which we might get. We might get. Do 11-point trade. I'll move my stop down just over new highs on the day. I gave a room earlier just in case of volatility. The ATR earlier on the 5-minute was only 2, but I was doing a 15-minute ATR of about 3.5. So that's the reason why it was sitting 9 points above. But it looks like it's gonna come down here. Now it could project all the way back up to the highest from here. That's very possible. But let's see here. We're still in the 70s in the Nasdaq. Starting to get some wicks down here at the bottom too. On the 5-minute. Maybe showing some buying. We'll see how this 5-minute closes here on the Nasdaq. Might be getting some support here. I mean, technically, then bounce from here earlier, resistance, support. So 5-minute resistance and support down here. I think we're gonna get a small bounce here. I am going to go ahead, and now this is me. Now I'm taking profits early. I have to go do something.
Order
So
filled.
I think I'm going to take that off there for 7.5 points. It might go down and flush down and be full TP, but I have to go do something real quick. But 7.5 points, if you took it and got off right there, you can manage it how you see fit, and you can hold it down to these 70s. It still has a good chance of going down there, I think, before the day is up. But I have to go do something real quick. I will be back shortly.
Lamar Productions. Lamar Productions.
A little bit of update here. Looking at the trade from earlier that we were in, so we were short. What was it? We were short from 85s. And it came down to 76.50s. So almost 9 points. We got out for 7.5 points because we said that it could bounce here because we had this 5-minute, 15-minute support, right? So I made the executive decision to get out on a join bid, and that ended up so far being the right choice. I'm not saying that it just doesn't reject here and come all the way back down, right? That's very possible, and it could take my full TP of 13 points. I had to get up from my computer desk for about 30 minutes. So for me, in that time, it was better for me to just take the win. That way, when I'm away from my computer, I'm not freaking out about a trade being on. I'm not really freaking out because I mean, worst case scenario, it shoots up and I lose 45 bucks. I mean, I'm not gonna freak out. And I moved my stop even 4 points, so most I would have lost is $20. I guess the right words is why squander a 7.5 point move when it doesn't have to be that way. And 7.5 points. It reached a max of 9 at one point. I got 7.5. Good trade. It's a good trade for me. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for 13 points because I wanted the 70s. But after some thought and looking at the 78s there, I thought it could be a location that it could bounce, especially since we started seeing the NASDAQ kind of support itself there. It was worth just getting out and look at the trade again. Looking here, he was going. Let's take a look around at crude. Okay, so crude's came down to 60.70. So we're getting a little bit of a sell-off here in crude. The level I was wanting to get long at is between 59.70 and 60 evens. I think basically around somewhere in here could be a good buy opportunity on crude. At least a reaction, right? I'm not saying it's gonna go up a dollar from here. It could, but like 25 cents, 50 cents. I'm looking for a reaction in this area. That's crude, NASDAQ, bounced in that area we talked about earlier. Gold starting to sell down. Okay, so it looks like the gold scenario might be this one where it might break down to these 23s. Now, what we want to look for is, do we come down to this 23 level and then have a 5-minute green candle rejection off the level to say it might retrace back up to the 50s? That's possible. Or does it break down completely through the 23 level, hit 4,000 to 39.70, this area in here, and then do we do a long back up through the highs? Or do we get this breakdown, comes back up, rejection off the 23 previous support of last week to go lower to the 73s? Okay. So that's what I'm looking at on gold. The upwards play looks about spent for now. It could happen later on, anything's possible, but right now it looks like shorts might be the way so far on gold. NASDAQ, we talked about it already. Same thing with S&P. We've talked about that already. That's gold, that's NASDAQ, that's S&P, that's crude. So, a little bit of an update there. Still looking for this 68.70 area to come into play. Alright, well, I stayed an extra hour. We're not in that trade anymore on the ES micro. And I'm glad that we took profit because, I mean, we came down here to this 15-minute support area. Where I broke out of this 76. It was supported. Um, so glad I got out for the 7.5 points. Saw an opportunity and took it. Right, we anticipated a small retracement move like this down. We took very little heat. We took profit. Then that's that. Like that was the one trade. Um, so for now, we took one trade, one micro, made money, and we're happy with that. All I gotta do is just scale up this account slowly but surely. The longer I can stay in this, longer I stay in this live account without breaking it and going right back into putting more expenses into combines and other test account, the longer I can, the longer I can stay above water and not just spend so much money on combines. I'm trying to become break even on the year for his expenses equaled out to the payouts. And while I have had 3 payouts this year, I'm still nowhere near where I want to be. I want to be at least 1 or 2 payouts a month. And I've gotten 3 this year. I got 2 last year towards the end of the year. This year I started out pretty strong, and I had 2 in the beginning of the year. Took a big, then I hit a slump for a couple months. Took another one, and now here I am. So that's my next goal, is just to try and build this up over a course of a month and not spend more money on combines, so I can kind of just slow down a little bit, take my time, not be as stressed out, take good trades at good trade locations. That's what I'm trying to do, trying to incorporate that into my trading. Okay, well, it's almost 6:30. We went through our levels, we went through the London Open, we even took one trade, it was a winner. So, all good, all good. Um, it is 6:30 p.m. almost here in Japan. I think that being the case, I'm going to mark this right there. I'm not going to take it because I'm about to walk away. Okay.